Good morning and welcome to HealthBeat. This is Janis Walker from the Healthy Community Coalition. That's an affiliate of the Franklin Community Health Network. Good morning to Darryl Wood, the Executive Director of LEAP, otherwise known as Life Enrichment Advancing People. Good morning, Darryl.
Good morning, Janis.
For those who have never heard about LEAP, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, sure. LEAP has been around since 1980. And we're actually a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And what we do is we provide residential and in-home supports to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, mostly in the greater Farmington area, but we do have homes as far west as Rumford, as far south as Minot, and we do entertain, helping people in other areas as well. But we do really like to keep it close to the Farmington area. What we do for supports is based on what the person that we're helping needs. Sometimes we'll go into somebody's home or apartment for as little as a few hours a week, but most of our people actually need pretty comprehensive supports, and we're in there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because of the nature of their disability.
And you do have some facilities where they actually live at the facilities?
Yes, yeah. Actually, most of our homes do have between 2 and 4 people that live there. They may get up and go out into the community. Some go to work during the day, but they reside at that location. You wouldn't know a LEAP home from any other home in the neighborhood because people are just people. But in the case of the folks that LEAP supports, most of them need some type of accessibility, either for physical movement and mobility issues or communication, or help with bathing and hygiene, meal preparation, and that type of stuff.
So do you have staff that are there 24 hours a day for them?
Not 24 hours a day in most cases. We do have a few folks who are older and have retired who stay home during the day, and they may have a staff there with them. But most of our folks get up in the morning, go through the same routines that we all do, have their breakfast, and they go off to work or volunteer in the community, or sometimes they're off on vacations or some of the things that we all do.
So you're trying to keep them independent, so they may be able to help cook their dinner, but just need that little extra to make sure that somebody doesn't catch on fire.
Yeah, I mean, the range of abilities that people have are, vary tremendously. And some people are able to do most of their own meal preparation, housekeeping, with cues and support and just minor assistance. But other folks, due to the nature of their disability, really need total care, modified diets, assistance with eating their meals and stuff like that. So, every individual person is different and has a different plan for their day.
What's the history of support? Has that evolved over the years?
The history of support has evolved. Really, in the 20th century, there was a lot of institutionalization going on. People were devalued. They were looked at as non-contributors to society. Sometimes society stereotyped folks and feared them because they looked different or they sounded different or they couldn't speak very well. Inhumane conditions and institutionalization really came to light in like the 1970s when Geraldo Rivera back in the day did an expose, kind of like what the 2020 show would be today, where he snuck into an institution and exposed some of the inhumane conditions that people were living in. And family members who had thought that they had sent people off to be taken care of, as well as the general public, were really abhorred by the conditions that came to light. Before that, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so, people just reacted to that and said, this is inhumane. we need to find ways for people to live in communities, and that's kind of the way that evolved. Around that time, the late 70s, LEAP came into business in 1980. It was a group of parents in Western Maine who said we would like to have some of those support services available in this area. And they got together, formed a board of directors, formed a nonprofit, opened our first home on Anson Street, which is called, ironically, Our House. I like to say it's their house, really, because we're just visitors, even though we're staff in there. And from that one home, as needs emerged in the community, we were able to find other homes or go in and help people in their own homes over the years. And we've expanded to the point we now have 33 different programs. And we may be in your neighborhood and you might not even know it.
That's right. Services have definitely changed, and I've seen pictures that you guys host these big picnics for people and really get them out, and they have a great life.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, people wouldn't be recognized for their disability. They would just be welcomed into the same places in the community that we all are. And so one of the things that we do in our mission is try to help people connect to people that aren't paid to be in their lives. Our staff, who are paid to be there and support people, have another job, and that's to help people make friends. When you have people in your life who miss you when you're not there, and you have a sense of belonging, and you have people that show up to be with you just because they like you, you feel a lot better about yourself, and that's when we know we're doing a good job, is when people have those types of connections and good self-esteem and feel like they belong in our community. And those are the goals. I mean, if you're sitting home all day watching TV or doing nothing, you're not really living an enriched life. And one of our goals is to give people the opportunity to have the same type of life as everybody deserves.
I think the growth speaks for itself, what great programs you offer in our community.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's take a short break, and we'll come back and talk more about LEAP. This is Janis Walker on HealthBeat. Welcome back to HealthBeat. This is Janis Walker and Darryl Wood talking about LEAP. Located in multiple places throughout our community, life enrichment, advancing people. Darryl, you were talking about the success and how it's grown over the years. I'm sure there are some. So what are the biggest challenges you face?
Well, we do have some challenges. We're actually pretty heavily regulated by DHHS, by fire marshals, by municipal regulations around safety. So, one of our challenges is to deal with all the bureaucracy and regulations and red tape while still trying to provide a fun, home-like environment for the people that we support. For instance, we've had to install sprinkler systems into residential homes just to keep people safe, but we don't really want to look like you're walking into a hospital. So some of those regulatory challenges are there for sure. But our biggest challenge, without a doubt, is staffing. We've got all of those different homes, many of which need to be staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we really need to recruit, hire, train, retain quality staff that show up 3 shifts a day in multiple locations, understand what the mission is, and we have pretty high standards for quality and communication, and having that many people available in this community ready to go in multiple locations is probably our biggest challenge. Another challenge that comes to mind, I guess, is, we talked a minute ago about giving people the opportunity to make friends and connect with their families and people. That's what we call natural supports. It's just, you like to fish, so we take you down to the dock, you meet someone else that likes to fish, you guys hit it off, that's a natural support, versus you go fishing with a staff that's paid to take you fishing, which is great, but not as good. But some of our folks really have some pretty complex care needs. They may be nonverbal, they may be in a wheelchair, they may have seizure disorders, issues with continence, etc., which make it challenging to make friends because you need things. This person would need things. And not everybody is prepared to help with those needs, which is why they need staffing. So we want to make sure that we don't create any barriers to people making friends and have natural support. So you also have to, keep it real in your conversations with people about what's safe, what's appropriate. A lot of our folks have guardians, and those can sound like barriers to making natural supports and friendships. So we want to make sure that all our staff understand their role in connecting people to communities and working with folks. And like you and I, some people get along and some people don't. So it's more an awareness within our staffing group and the people that we support about all the great things that are out there in the community. And then also, I think, an awareness in the community that people of all abilities can enrich their lives as well. Having conversations, making eye contact, that's part of life that has in the past historically been missing sometimes from the lives of people who are significantly disabled or differently abled or look different from you and me or have challenges to speak. Just because you can't communicate verbally doesn't mean you don't have a lot to say and you can't understand what's going on. So that might mean you or I have to kind of stop, the speed of which we interact on a day-to-day basis, sit down, get on somebody's level, listen with your whole body, so that somebody understands you care about what they're trying to say and you're willing to spend a few minutes to try to figure that out, because that really feeds back to the core of how people feel about themselves. So.
Well, I know that your staff and your mission is to make people feel good about themselves and be healthier people, but you yourself, I have to say, you're a superstar when it comes to being aware of your own employees' health, and you have been a leader in the community for worksite wellness and making sure your employees are in tune with their own health. So to that, I say thank you, and I think that speaks highly of you and your staff, taking that effort and making sure they remember to take care of themselves too.
Thank you, yeah. Well, we do have a vigorous safety and wellness program, and part of it's the business model. Healthier employees are more productive and safer, but we also feel that employee wellness goes hand in hand with consumer wellness or the people that we support's wellness, because part of our mission is wellness. So when staff are doing healthy, well activities and then taking the people that we support along with them, there's a mission win there as well as the business win, and I don't need to tell you that wellness pays for businesses, and it also gives us some opportunities to have fun together, which is kind of team building and camaraderie as well. So yeah,
it's good to feel valued as an employee.
Absolutely, thank you.
So how do you know when you're doing a good job in our community?
Well, we consider our successes one person at a time, one interaction at a time. Life is challenging for all of us. So if you were born without the ability to see, hear, walk, or process information very swiftly, and we can help you to interact with the world around you in a way that we can kind of say, you're having a good day. You really liked this opportunity. We've given you some skills to be able to communicate more effectively. We think that those are the barometers that we use for knowing we're doing a good job, is one person at a time, one interaction at a time.
You have a lot of initiatives in the community that actually all community members can take advantage of.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we do have at our 482 Farmington Falls Road location, we call it the Stone Soup Gardens and Fit Trail. We bought an accessible home that came with about 36 acres. And part of our wellness program, we decided to develop a fitness trail And we have built some gardens for staff and the people that we support, and we decided to extend that out into the community. So the fitness trails, which will be finished this year with signage, and you'll hear more about that probably. We'll promote that a little bit. But we also have the Stone Soup Gardens, which have been going for a few years, but last year really took off. We had a number of members of the community that took us up for our offer to have garden plots, which are available again this year. And we also had a number of volunteers that created bucket loads of fresh vegetables that we were then able to share back with the people of LEAP. Our employees, we would sell them, pennies on the dollar for good, healthy food. And a lot of people took advantage of the volunteer opportunities up there. This year, we're going to do some work with helping people learn how to, preserve their food through freezing and through dehydrating, maybe even some canning. Because we think, the more food that comes locally, it's affordable. It's work. You got to plant the seed, you got to weed, you got to, till and do all the work. But in the end, you can get wholesome food much less expensively than you can from the grocery store. And perhaps it wasn't filled with pesticides and shipped from California as well. So there's some benefits there.
You have an event coming up this week.
Yes, we do. Actually, it's Tax Day, April 15th. We're fortunate enough to be sponsoring a film festival that's called Sprout. And this really emerges from a nonprofit organization in New York City that would plan vacations and help people get the money to go do events. Sometimes those are expensive vacations because of the accessibility needs for people, support needs, staff needs, etc. One of the events was to go make a film. So they went out to California and they made a short film starring folks with developmental disabilities. And then they realized they had no venue to show the film. So the idea was hatched to, have this film festival in New York, and then eventually to take it on the road and have it be shown around. April is Autism Awareness Month, and so we saw an opportunity to bring it up here to the University of Maine at Farmington. This is a free film festival with showings at 2 and 7 on the 15th at Lincoln Auditorium at the University of Maine at Farmington. And each showing lasts about an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, and it's a series of short films from 3 to 11 minutes with various topics that are intended to educate and help people be a little more mindful about the abilities of everybody out there. So it should be a lot of fun. And I'll post some information in the events section on the Bulldog, or you can call me at 778-4817, extension 104, for any more information, or just stop by LEAP at 313 Farmington Falls Road.
If there's anybody interested in learning a little bit more about Stone Soup Gardens or volunteering, who should they contact? Excuse me.
Yeah, I think a great place to go would be to go to our website at www.leapcommunity.org. Stop by the office, call me at the number I just gave you, or call our HR director, Sarah Judd, and she's at 778-4817, extension 110. And she also helps coordinate some of our volunteer activities. So there are opportunities to work with people, to work on the fit trails and the gardens. As a nonprofit, paint, scrape, help in a variety of ways. We always are looking for help. So that would be outstanding to hear from folks.
Well, great. Thanks. It's nice to hear all the good things you're doing in our community.
Hey, thank you, Janis.
Thank you, Darryl. Until next week, this is Janis Walker on LEAPHealthBeat.